Hello, Vibers. Welcome back to Get a Vibe. I'm Nick Smith. We've got another great show for you. If you're into passion-driven tech and want to start learning how to use AI in your automation, this is going to be the show for you. Welcome back to another great show. As always, we're just interviewing guests to really learn about AI, where it's going, how we can use it in a lot of different ways. So Corey Ryan is joining me this morning. I'll introduce him in just a second. You can follow along at getavibe.com. That's where you'll see all these videos. You can subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure you do that. You can click this little QR code up in the top corner over here, and that'll take you right to the YouTube channel. And outside of that, we're providing resources on getavibe.com that are free that you can use to either learn how to program, learn how to do AI, providing quite a bit in there that'll help you out. So let me get to our guests here. So I'm Nick Smith. Today we're talking about turning adversity into invention, and how AI can amplify creativity for real builders. I'm sitting down with Corey Ryan, co-founder of Ryan² Design Labs, known for shipping automation systems, AI chatbots, and custom CRMs for small businesses. We'll break down how he stacks AI on GoHighLevel and FastAPI plus Ollama framework he's building for streamed responses and dynamic memory, and how a Raspberry Pi can power an offline-online home assistant. Plus, Corey submitted T.I.R.E.D, T.I.R.E.D, a lunar-rover tire concept for a NASA challenge, and we're pulling lessons you can use today. That's awesome. So if you're learning to code, pivoting into tech, or trying to automate your business, this conversation gives you a blueprint to start from zero and ship massive welcome to Corey Ryan. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me here, Nick.
Yeah. So tell me this. I mean, were you always a coder?
Yeah, I went to school for programming, and it was only an associate's degree in computer programming. Before that, I was in school for graphic design, but I didn't really have much love for coming up with design concepts as much as I did for the tools. So I enjoyed the computer programming a lot more.
Yeah. And when you got your start, where did you start at? You said you did some of that design there, and
yeah, well, back then, I didn't even get into the industry. There was a lot of people that was trying to jump into a lot of people who wanted to get into coding because they wanted to make games and all that. And I tried to go for interviews fresh out of school, still trying to learn how things like PHP even worked, even though I graduated with honors. Yet industry knowledge seems to have a lot to do with it. And other people have bachelors. So I ended up just falling into the corporate world, working in call centers under operation type of positions. I did work for a lot of computer companies, and then did some tech support. And I even tried to launch my own computer support company, but it died out from marketing.
Yeah, really. So I hear in that, when you started out, just like anybody, you had to kind of build a stack of knowledge, essentially. Like it took time for you to get to where you are. And I think that's a lesson in patience for people, is just start somewhere wherever you're at and start practicing. Because as you practice, you're going to find the things that you really like for your coding. And also you're going to learn over time, right? So what are some of the big challenges that you have to overcome in doing what you do?
Well, the personality for one, right? Like when I first was learning coding in school, there was a lot of introverts.
Yeah.
I don't fit that introvert model. I'm quite a bit of an extrovert.
Yeah.
I like being social. I don't want to be sitting there trying to debug code and stare at it all day long. And so the code part was fun, but I didn't. Some coders, they like to just get lost in the code.
Yeah.
And that's not something I really was doing, And I found that there's different types of coders out there, though. after learning about it. There's ones that do get lost in the code, and there's ones that try to block them together, and try to look at it from more of an out of the box perspective and
Well,
try to connect.
that's interesting, right? So you can be introverted in your coding, right? So you can get lost in the code and it's just all you, and others block it together. So kind of like a party almost, right?
Yeah.
So you're using other people's content. You're having to connect with other people. That's interesting. So
And one thing I've learned, and I think a lot of coders agree, that why reinvent the wheel, right? Like that's why there's
yeah,
so much open source out there. Like we go out there, and if you're going to build a car, you're not
yeah,
going to start from scratch and build a wheel.
yeah. Somebody's already done that, right? I think that's a great
Exactly.
way to look at it. Can you kind of explain GitHub and what it does? Do you use it?
I don't use GitHub all that much. No, I
No.
played around with it, but I like to find ways to do things myself. So
Okay.
I'll find open source a lot and put it on my local machine.
Okay.
There's one that I'm using for automations called N8N.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And I run it on my local machine instead of through their site.
Yeah. Okay. But so what does that give you? So it gives you open source. So instead of you having to create the stereo, let's use that as an analogy. You go grab that. N8N allows you to grab somebody else's stereo and plug it into your car, essentially. Is that right?
Yeah, it helps bridge between systems and communications. I mean,
Yeah.
there's other things that people use like Zapier, right?
Yeah.
And then there's
Yeah.
Make,
That.
and they integrate with things. A lot of times you have to use APIs in order for things to push information or get information between each other.
Yeah.
And I do like playing around with Zapier a little bit. I haven't done much with Make, but I've fallen in love with N8N because just the way that you're able to incorporate AI into an automation.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's the key to creating agents now is you've got to use an automation tool because with AI, what I've seen is it doesn't really communicate with all of these apps that we use, like Gmail and calendars and phones, and so you've got to connect it somehow, and that's where the APIs come in. And for people that maybe are new to an API, that's the call. I mean, it sends out. It's almost like the highway between the application and your app. So it's the connection between those two. And I think what N8N has done is they made that pathway really easy, right? And affordable too, because Zapier, I was using that, and you're 30 to 80 bucks a month for your automations. N8N, I don't know where they're at. I mean, I think they're somewhere close to that, I would imagine. Are they more free?
No, they do have paid services, but again, they're open source, so you can run it
Okay.
for free on your local machine if you play around with it a little bit. It doesn't actually take a lot of the work.
Yeah.
Just use AI to help you set it up and figure it out.
Yeah. In your own words, what is AI? If you could explain that.
Well, AI, when I look at AI, I don't see a robot.
Yeah.
I see the architecture,
Okay.
and it's about the input, process, and the outcome, right? Every business already runs their systems. AI just makes them intelligent.
Okay. So it's more of a process, but
And
it creates a communication channel between the machine essentially and the human. Like how would you go into that a little more?
um, it's just think of a bit way to put this. AI is a tool for one. We can't just completely rely on it just to give us the answer. And you got to look at it as if it's just like another person that you're talking to that you're brainstorming with.
Yeah.
Because another person could be wrong just as much as you can be wrong. And AI will correct you just as much as you can correct it. So, um, you just use it, with trying to think of a good way to put this. I'm not one for big words, but
Yeah, you're okay.
um, the way I've used AI And how I like it is it just bridges the connections to things that I don't know, and then allows me to learn more about those things and makes it
Okay.
funner too. I'm thinking about connecting systems to systems, and instead of getting lost in the one systems, AI has allowed me to learn how those systems connect, and then I can get them connected. So it's a partner,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it helps speed along the process when you have a big picture in mind.
Okay, so when you're doing your development, and maybe you can help me with the phrasing here, because I say coding, I say developer, I say programmer. Are they all synonymous? Are they different things?
I probably can't claim that I would know as much either because with the industry I haven't been in for as long. I was 3 years ago, I even went out on my own as an insurance agent
Okay.
and doing health insurance and life insurance. And 6 months ago was when I ran into my business partner, and his name's Ryan. So that's how we got the Ryan² name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he, at the time, I was just looking for a CRM, and he was just trying to sell it to people, and it was cheaper than what I was using for my insurance reasons, and it was going to do what I wanted to do, but it was very robust and was built on the GoHighLevel.
Okay.
And he had no clue how to answer my questions, and so I looked more into it, started using my coding skills as well as AI, and started modifying it, making it do extra things I wanted it to do for me to help me with my business. And I came back to Ryan. I'm like, this is what I did, and he offered to hire me.
Okay.
This would be like
That's
his account
awesome.
manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, I need you to help set up accounts for me and be the tech support for these people.
Yeah.
The back end. I'm like, okay, I can do that. It's a little side hustle. I can make some money while the insurance, because the insurance thing wasn't easy for me. It was, I don't, the only passion I had with that was helping people,
Yeah.
but like I really love the technical things, like
Figuring things out
AI,
and how they work
computer.
and how they communicate. Right.
And so when I started doing that, it like reignited something in me that I was like, oh wow, yeah, I miss this. I love this, and then I started doing more work. We started getting more business. He is a
Yeah.
graphic designer. I'm a computer programmer, and we started like impressing a lot of customers and clients because of the mix of our skills.
Yeah.
What we're able to pull out. Like if he can make something look good, I can make it work. And so we decided, like, hey, I'm gonna go all in on this if you want to. And we started our business, and that was only like 2 months ago, maybe two and a
Oh,
half.
that's amazing. Yeah. So you took in and GoHighLevel is kind of a white label brand, right? Where you can put your own brand on their product and then
Mhm.
adapt it. And so you took the GoHighLevel and adapted it to your business, created this opportunity, right? But
Mhm.
rekindled all that stuff you'd learned in the past. It's interesting to me how the pathways reconnect when they need to. And so you don't really get too far from what you're good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so how has it fundamentally changed, the way you program? So when you're running code and you're trying to get things to communicate, are you using AI to help you navigate that?
I It gets me started, and
Okay.
then a lot of times I have to look more into the code to help with getting things working right because AI is not going to be perfect when it comes just to do the coding for you.
Yeah.
You got to work with it to get the code to do exactly how you want it. You got to question AI too. You'd be like, hey, no, you can't do that because AI has a tendency of trailing off in its own little,
It hallucinates, right?
yeah, it hallucinates. It likes to all of a sudden start getting you to repeat what you've already done,
Mm,
things like that,
I've
and
seen that. Yeah.
running in circles. So it definitely is not something that you should just have do the job for you.
Well, and I use it with Firebase Studio, and I've
Mhm.
started using Cursor, but I haven't got into that as much. But in Firebase, I noticed that when I get an error and then I try and debug using Google, their Gemini, it just gets in this loop, like this death loop,
Mhm.
and it just keeps doing the same thing. And I'm like, dude, you're doing the same thing. And I talk to it like a human. I say, look, you're doing the same thing and calling it a different result. You're creating the same outcome, doing the same task, and then creating the same outcome. And it's but you're calling it a fix. And so I have to correct it. And then what I'll do is I'll take and go over and cheat with other models. And I want to start using Claude Sonnet. I know some developers that are using Claude, and it's next level. Gemini does pretty good. ChatGPT does really well, GPT-5. And so I'll run Gemini over to GPT-5 and then run it back over. Do you do anything like that?
I do. I like to
Yeah.
input between each of the AIs just to see what another AI may even say about the other's resolution.
Yeah.
I also like using the local AIs that you can download. Like I use Ollama
Okay.
to download a lot of like the AI models to play around with and have local on my machine,
So
which
you
I
run
like.
your own
It's a lot
LLM,
more
or
private. What was that?
do you run your own LLM on your computer?
Yeah, for the fun of it.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's pretty cool.
And there's a lot you can do with it. You can even create your own APIs
Okay.
and use that on um, out on the web, and you can connect your own local language models into NAN even, and have it
Okay.
use those instead of the higher name models.
So really, I picture the MacGyver type of fix here with N8N. And that's how Zapier was. I could get Zapier to do all these tasks, but it was like duct tape fixing. Like I would take one and duct tape it to the other, to the other, to the other to create an outcome or an agent. Are you finding that that's still the case? Like we have to almost duct tape with NAN. NAN is like the duct tape to me. And it takes one app that doesn't talk to another and it gets them to talk to each other.
Mhm.
Is that still the case, or do you think we're going to get to the point where just right in your coding, you're able to do all of that without an in between?
You're going to be able to write in the code without the in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
It's going to definitely end up going in that direction. I can already see how they're starting to like the borders are starting to like kind of disappear and they're starting to bleed into each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at some point, I don't. Are we there yet? Do you think?
No, we're
No,
not there yet. I mean, there is someone out there that can um, definitely probably put it all together in one thing.
for sure.
But everyone's still trying to, not have to communicate with everything else and have their own.
So really, there's not with unless you're just a high level programmer that you're going to have to use something like an N8N to get your apps to talk to each other,
Yeah.
right? And so that's what I'm seeing is if I'm going to create an agent. So this whole idea of agents and agentifying AI. Essentially, I'm hearing that you want to create an agent that does a simple task. You don't want to create one complex agent. And so you want to create one agent that does one simple task, and you're going to have multiples of those, like employees in a business. But
Right.
the way to do that, so if I have an email agent, what I would do is I would have to connect to my Gmail account through N8N to communicate with another account, right? Or like an Aweber or anything like that. I would have to have that N8N or Zapier go in and make that connection between them for me to agentify that task. Is that how you
Well,
understand it?
that's how they try to make it seem, but there's other ways around it too. You know,
Okay.
uh, with I mean, the API connection between, let's say, Google and or Google and GoHighLevel is can be done through just a simple webhook and using like the app scripts within Google
Okay.
to deploy a JSON script to make it work
Okay. So
without
I've
even
done
having.
that. Yeah.
And so, like, if you go through the features, they'll say, "Hey, premium feature to have it push to Google Sheets," and they'll be advertised and GoHighLevel, but then you have to pay extra for that premium feature.
Okay.
But but there is a way to do it without having to do that, and that's just like deploying a web app through app scripts after you put the code over there, and then that's the URL that you use for your API key. You just got to make sure that the information is formatted and pushes over right, so it's received correctly.
Yeah, I have some apps that where I've used AppScript inside of a Gmail product or a Google product, like Gmail, or Google Sheets is a great one. Google Forms for AppScript, um, because, like you said, it allows you to put basic code in there to create tasks where you can do things with Google that you can't do unless you add that AppScript in. I mean, it won't communicate with Sheets unless you put that app in there, right? That code. And the thing that I would do is I would use AI to help me write that code for the app script. So I would take and you do have to add. Is it automatically in Google products, or is it something you have to download, the app script?
Oh, the app script is automatically there.
It's there, right? It's under
Yeah,
extensions, I believe.
I didn't have to download anything. You go into here. Let me go ahead and share. We can take a look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this.
Down at the bottom, you'll see the screen with a plus, and then I can pull that up. And I've got some where there are automations that we've created with Google App Script for my clients, where they just it's set up once and that thing runs forever, consistent. I mean, it's pretty powerful. Okay, I've got your screen up here.
Okay, so let's bring up some sheets.
I'm going to get rid of my banners so we can see your content a little better. There we go.
Come up with a blank sheet for now. And it'll be in extensions,
Yeah, I think it is in extensions right there. Okay.
and you have your app script.
And so you can take Gmail, you can take Sheets, you can use Forms. I know I've used it in there. Google Calendar, I believe, has an app script function. And essentially, if you can think it, AI can code it, and then you drop that in here in the app script. It'll set it up exactly as you need for app scripts. You just say, build me an app script uh, program that does this, and it'll put it together, right?
Right. And one thing I love about that is the fact that your imagination now is almost the limit. If you can
Yeah.
think it, you can do it. AI's helped to bridge those connections. You don't have to get lost in small little blocks of code or anything. You can think of like a huge thing that you want to get completed, and you can do it as long as you can think of it. You know.
Well, it's just like the human mind, it's I run a program called 12 Journeys where we talk about the brain and the power of the brain. And it's incredible what a 3.5 pound mass of meat can do. And it's the same idea as it's as far as you believe, that's what you can achieve, right? So if you can imagine it, you can create it. And with AI, it's really a macro or a microverse of what we have in our head.
This is an example of something I was working on the
Yeah.
other day. I'm still working on trying to get to receive the data correctly. That's why it's coming through as unknown. But this is the app script for that.
So it takes a little time to slow down and set this up, right?
Yeah,
So that coding, did you write all this code or did you have AI help you?
AI helped me.
Yeah.
I wrote things into the code, but AI helped me build the template pretty much. We'll put it
Yeah.
that way.
Are,
Yeah.
are you familiar with the term vibe coding?
Um, I've heard it, but I'm not familiar with it. No.
Yeah, it got coined this year. So it's a new term, but it's using AI to help you develop essentially. And the phrase that took off is vibe coding. That's what we named the show after. But it's essentially using AI to help write the code. And that makes it accessible to a lot of people, but you have to really be conscious of security and ethics, obviously, right?
Right.
But you've got personal or private information in here. Do you want me to block that screen so you don't share any codes here?
I think it's just a quick security check.
All right.
It's
So
going to go
yeah,
away.
I think the ability to code is now accessible to everybody,
Yeah.
and that's where in the past I couldn't build applications because it was just too much money. It was so controlled. It was tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to build an application.
Trying to get to my Callus 360 real quick, which is our GoHighLevel white label. Let me try to move it over to a different screen so this
Here, I'll pop
works.
off for just a second. We'll add it back in. So that's interesting. So AppScript is that a pretty common tool for you to use, and is that something you use quite a bit?
No, I'm just starting to get familiar with it right now.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Because the other day, a client that we're been demoing to asked if our platform could do timekeeping, and
Okay.
it's not built into the platform. So
So you've got
I
to
was
add a feature.
so yeah, I was adding the feature and coming up with the feature, and
Okay.
that's how I started learning about the app script. Because before I learned about app script, I was trying to deploy everything on my own computer using CLIs.
Okay. And what's a
So
CLI?
I use them for tunneling connection. Like if you have something running on your computer, it's typically local, and you run it like type in like localhost and like the port that
Yeah.
it's running on to access that. Just like how if um, like that NAN was
Yeah.
localhost like or something 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 to get to it. Well, and if I want to access that from the web, I need to use a tunnel, and CLI is able to provide the tunnel
Oh,
to
okay.
the web, and it'll provide a URL that you can use to get to that local host on your computer as long as your computer is on.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's kind of like an API, but to your local computer, right?
Yeah.
Instead of app to app, it's local computer to web, right?
Mm.
So it tunnels through. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So yeah, so there's API CLIs, right?
Mhm.
And then there's NAN, which is kind of an MPI highway, super highway. And then you've got I love the idea of using AppScript. I've used it in the past, but especially for follow-up in Gmail or getting information into Sheets, Google Sheets. I'm not a big fan of Microsoft stuff like Excel. So even though they're similar, but I feel like Google is opening the door to do a lot more with their automations. So I
Yeah.
drink the Kool-Aid.
And one thing I like about Google is that they make a lot of things free for people to learn.
Yeah. Are you good if I show
Yeah.
that screen there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Let me share
Yep.
the screen right here. I'm just pulling up one of the templates that we're using
Well,
here.
they do. They provide a lot of training. We went to that training here a few weeks back, and it was like, wow, that was awesome. That was eye opening to me. We had Joy, who was there training on the show, and
I
her
remember, I
view.
met, I
Yeah, go
remember her
ahead.
and the other guy that you were saying you're going to interview as well.
Yeah, he's coming on, I think, in a week or so. Um, but it's just I'm in this mode of learning. I've been playing with AI since 2022. But when it comes to coding and development, I'm learning, and I've started building my own apps, and it's been amazing.
So these are what the automations look like at GoHighLevel.
Okay,
And you'll see that there's a lot of similarity between programs, whether it was Zapier, Make, NAN.
yeah,
And the common things is that you have triggers and you have actions.
okay. So this happens, then this, right? It's like
Exactly.
if this trigger, just like humans, if you get triggered, this action happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the one that interfaces with the timesheet that I'm trying to build.
Okay.
So right here is just the URL that I have to put in here. This is how
Okay.
I tell what data I want to get pushed across.
Okay.
And that was created by the app sheet. So if I go into the app sheet and make it public, and it'll provide you a URL that you can use.
Right. Okay. When you share it, right?
Yeah, I'd have to direct there again because that was on the last meeting we were on was actually a different computer because I remote into my desktop computer to do most of my AI work
Yeah. Okay.
because my desktop's got the GPU that can handle it. So then if you go in here and you deploy these as web apps, make
Okay.
sure that they're used for everyone. Just kind of go through the actions a little bit here and say deploy.
Okay.
And this is they'll provide you that URL right here.
Okay. So you're actually deploying it as a web app, right? In Google App Script.
Exactly.
Okay. And so now it's got a public URL, so anybody can access it,
That's right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do about security and safety? Obviously, you're not going to plug API keys into this code because then those would show up publicly. Is that correct?
That's right. I use Docker containers. You ever
Okay.
heard of those?
Nuh-uh.
You've heard of virtual machines, right?
Tell me a little bit. No, I'm. This is all new. So
Well, to try to make it easy to understand, like when people have worked at call centers, sometimes they don't get a computer. They just
yeah.
get like a little small machine that taps into the server, but
Okay.
yet they still have a Windows, that they're still working with Windows on the computer with because it's just coming from the server.
Okay. So it's connecting to that server.
Right. And that server's got however many virtual machines for all those agents.
Okay. Okay. And is that what Docker does?
Docker is like that. It keeps things in containers. The difference between Docker and the VMware type of stuff
Yeah.
is VMware, you have to assign the resources to each container.
Okay.
And you can have a container that runs Windows, a container that runs Linux, a container that runs Mac, all on the same thing
Okay.
with VMware. And with Docker, it will have assigned resources to Docker itself, but all of the containers will utilize pull from the same resources.
Can you explain a container to me? Like,
Container is like you were talking about security. A container, for one, is just think of it like a box, right?
okay. Yeah.
And Docker is really good for coders because, like a lot of times when you make things with code, things don't work right on someone else's computer when it works on your
Oh,
computer.
right. Okay.
And that's because of like certain variables that the computer brings in, the environment of that Windows computer or that Mac computer or whatnot. And
Okay.
so things could be slightly different, whether if it's environment variable or something else that's messing with the let's say the ports, the
Yeah.
network ports.
Yep.
So with the Docker container, it contains it all. So the settings of my window is not impacting anything that runs in the container over here. It has it's all contained in
Okay.
that.
Okay. And then somebody else can access that container, right?
If I make it public, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're able to take essentially your computer, put it in any program, put it into a container, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to make it public, you can, but otherwise you just have access to that from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. It's a lot like the docs, like shipping, right?
Right. You remember when we met and they were doing that course on how to hide your API key?
I don't remember that. So
He was like saying, "Hey, this is how you can send a AI request over online to." I think it was something he was talking about hoverboard, like it was like a hoverboard
okay,
thing that
yeah.
he was trying to display. But you have to use a Google API key in order for that to work,
Okay.
and you don't want to expose the API key to the web because then people have the API key and they know what to do with it. And
And they spend a lot of your money, right?
yeah,
Yep.
and they can use it to do a lot of things. I hear one thing is spam as well, but of
Okay.
course they use everything for spamming.
Okay.
I have a container right here that runs my API key. So I
Okay.
have a app that I run. It's an AI app on my online business card.
Yep.
And
so you're able to connect your applications to this container. Is that correct?
yes,
And then this container keeps that information private so nobody sees it, but then allows it to run because it has access to what it needs to run. So it has access to the APIs.
yes. And
Okay.
so instead of exposing the API on it, then it'll send a request to my computer
Yeah.
to use the API key. Then it will process the request from Gemini
Okay.
and then push off the input.
Okay. Okay. That's making sense to me.
Mhm.
So it's keeping it private, contained, basically, but still giving you access so that you can run what you need to run. So,
Exactly.
okay, that's actually really cool. So that's a great way to keep it secure.
And I can show you how that works a bit here. Let
Yeah,
me pull up my online business card.
it really is coming down to if you can imagine it, you can create it, and it takes a little time still. You if you have an understanding of programming language, that's going to help, right?
Yeah.
I've been studying Python and Angular, and I feel like it's still a foreign language to me. Do you use any of those? Are you more of a JavaScript guy or?
I like Python a lot because it's simple.
Uh,
I am good with C++. I use a
okay.
lot of JavaScript because JavaScript does a lot of stuff
Yeah.
online. And I'm looking into learning more about Marco because Marco's amazing.
Really?
Yeah. So this
And
is like my online business card here, and I added a little AI tool on the bottom of it.
okay.
And so when you click it, it's going to use my API key to fetch this data from Gemini.
Okay. So you
And
pre-programmed it with some instructions,
mhm,
right? Those kick over to Gemini through an API. Gemini creates a response and kicks it back over through the API, and that's what shows up here, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And that's just one of many type of AI tools that you can make public and
Yeah.
still secure. But you also gotta know that it's using your Gemini, and there's only so many free tokens that free use gets. And then if you have accounts that you're paying for, like a business standard G Suite, you're going to have access to more tokens and running more.
And that's essentially what you're paying for. So when you API it, and they talk about token usage, they say, for a certain number of tokens, it's going to be this much. So if you spent 1 million tokens, it's $15 or something. It's still pretty reasonable depending on the program you're using. But you get into ChatGPT 5 and some of these heavier models, and it's expensive. I mean, it can run you quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can add up. So you want to be careful which program you're using because you could spend all your dollars. I set ceilings on all of mine just in
Mm-hmm.
case. I'm like, I want you to flag me at this. I was talking. Who was it that? It was the guy that was training. He was talking about how it kicked 30 grand out of his pocket before he caught it. Because he didn't have a ceiling on his spending account. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
It's insane that that could even happen, and that's also another reason why I like to play around with my own
Yeah.
local LLMs as well, because if I can protect my knowledge on those and start leaning on those a lot more, then I'll just get some uh, video cards to help, with generate my own tokens, so I'm not having to pay for anything.
No, there you go. There you go. So it's a workaround. So there's, what I hear in this is that no matter where you're at what level, you can find a workaround because of what AI is doing. Whether you run your own local LLM or use Gemini or Claude or Chat, those seem to be the big ones, right? And
Yeah.
DeepSeek is coming up. It sounds like they're doing a lot. Um, But I talked to a programmer for IBM the other day, and he uses Claude Sonnet almost exclusively. He says there's just nothing that comes close right now. And he's excited. It's like all these guys that put it on hold because it was taking too long and he had to learn so much are coming back into the business because AI is making it fun again. Right?
Yeah, it is. But a lot of people are afraid of it. I was just
Uh-huh.
listening on the news the other day about people's fears when it comes to AI.
Hmm.
About all the fears of it taking over jobs and
Yeah.
making humans obsolete when it comes to work.
And what are your thoughts on that from your point of view?
Well, technology gave me something structure never could, perspective.
Okay.
I used to think systems were about efficiency, but now I realize they're about the emotional freedom and the ability to focus on what truly matters. So to me, it feels like we can expand more. Throughout history, and it keeps repeating itself. Things evolve. When they came out with machines, CAD machines, when they came out with the I can't remember what they call them, the ones that they program a little small code into the automation machines they use like to make cars and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put out a lot of people out of jobs, and
Assembly
a lot of
lines.
jobs
Right?
are obsolete because of that. But new jobs were created,
Yeah.
and the basic knowledge of the human being also evolved.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you even look at kids nowadays, they can play around with the tablet at the age of even before a year old, before they can even talk.
Right.
Versus where my parents don't even know how to operate a computer.
Right. And that's
You know,
a choice. So when I run my 12 journeys program, we talk about the mindset and shifting your story. And this is going to require people to shift their story. It's we have narratives and our brain hates change. Like it doesn't want to change because it's cost inefficient. And so anytime we approach something new, we're going to resist it, even if it's good for us. And I hear people say all the time, "Oh, I don't have the brain for that. I could never do that. That's not who I am." And that becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. So what I hear and what you're saying is, adaptation is part of the journey here. It happened with fire to electricity. It happened with wagons to cars. It happened with assembly lines. It's happening all the time. It happened with the internet when it came out. There was a swing of shifting from one way of doing things to another. Now there's full industries around that. And so I would say, and I'd love to hear your view on this, if somebody is worried about AI taking over their job, really check your story of what you're telling yourself, right?
mhm.
Because if you say I don't have the brain for that or I could never learn that, then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and then you get left behind, right?
Right. The world's always changing, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't like the feeling of change, but you have to be able to learn how to work with it if you don't want to get left behind.
Right, right. And
Like
adapt.
people will lose jobs and not get jobs if they're going to stay in the same mindset.
Right. Yeah, I like that point of view. I mean, it really is that, and it is accessible right now to just about everybody. I mean, if you have a computer, you can access, even on the free accounts, you can access Chat GPT and Gemini for free. And so
Exactly.
you work from where you're at. If you can't afford a $20 a month subscription for these, some of these coders I'm talking to are at the $100, $200 a month plans because for them it makes sense to do that. It's like they're using it that much, and the level of coding that comes out of that through the AI is at a higher level as well, and so they find it worth it. And I'm not there yet. I'm a $20 a month guy right now, but
Mhm.
holy crap, can I get a lot out of it? So
Yeah, well, with the next wave of business owners, they're really
yeah,
not going to be replaced by AI. They're going to be powered by it, right?
yeah,
The
correct.
future belongs to people who ask better questions, not just who writes the better code.
Yeah, so enhance yourself, right? Augment yourself with AI. It's going to push
Exactly.
some people to level up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also going to create freedom in ways we haven't imagined too. I mean, I look at what I can do because of AI. I create a lot of free time because of the efficiencies that it brings. And I think that's one thing that we want back is our freedom, time freedom and attention freedom. So if somebody's brand new into AI, if you were talking to somebody that's never worked with it, never done coding, right? Where would you recommend they start?
Start with where they want to be.
Okay.
Like if they are a coder, if they want to learn coding, well, what do you want to get out of that? You just want to learn how to code?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of directions that can go in, you know. So if you want to learn how to code, do you want to build an app? Do you want to build a game? Think of end goal and just jump to it so you can learn the process as you run through it.
Okay. So this is kind of Stephen Covey type thing. Start with the end in mind, right? And create the vision first. Is what do you want to create? This is actually really cool to me because my way of creating, your way of creating are totally unique. We might use the same kind of tools in our process, but we both are taking it in different directions. And I think what people get stuck on is, well, somebody's already doing that, or who am I to make an impact here? We're all going to do it differently. We're all going to create things differently. So use the tools to create. But I kind of think of Alice in Wonderland, where he asks, "Where are you going?" And she says, "I don't know." He says, "Well, any path will do." And when you're looking at, start with that end in mind, is what do you want to create? Do you want to create a game? Do you want to create music? Do you want to create videos? Then start using AI to help you create that pathway there, right?
Mhm.
But start with, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Is there anything else you want to share today that you feel would be important? Something that maybe we missed or you wish I would have asked?
Yeah, I can definitely run through a little quick
Let's,
local demonstration of my local models, as
let's do
well
it.
as just kind of throw out there before I go in there is I challenged myself months ago when I saw on the news, or not news, it was a news article I saw online about that NASA challenge
Yeah.
we were talking about. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, this is actually a real challenge. If I can come up with solutions, even though it's not in something that I know because I'm not a scientist, then that shows me that it's just about what you can think of, right? And
Yeah.
so I jumped into it. I'm not done with it yet because it has to be submitted by November 5th. So I'll be submitting in about 3 or 4 days.
Huh.
But the challenge is about building a new tire for the moon rover because the moon rover tire can only go so far and it's not long. It can only go walking distances because of the extreme conditions of
Yeah.
the moon. The dust is like razor sharp. The gravity makes traction bad. The shade is as cold as like I think it's like negative 233 Celsius or 100 and something Celsius. I
Holy
can't
cow.
remember.
Yeah. Stuff you don't even think about, right?
Right. And so they need something to go faster and farther because of some missions that they want to do. And the challenge is out there for everyone. If you actually go on NASA, they always do challenges.
That's
And
interesting.
if anyone ever thinks that they can't do something, you're not going to complete it if you don't try.
I like that. So you're putting your hat in the ring, going for it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
I'm not
love
going
it.
to say I'm going to win. I don't know if I'm going to win. I do have a good idea, and I could share that more after this because I don't want any other contestants stealing my
Yeah, no,
idea.
no, no. We'll share that offline after the fact, right?
Exactly.
So I'm gonna pull up your screen here.
Okay, so there's actually a couple ways that you can work with Ollama. You can install Ollama into a Docker container and install as many local LMs as you want through here.
Okay.
I didn't do that with mine originally, so mine's just installed on my local machine. And
Okay.
currently it will be running through, right, just a command prompt. And I was building a GUI to interface with through a browser window. But when you go, you can download Ollama through just a command prompt. Right now,
So
Ollama,
Ollama is an LLM, right?
Ollama is what I use to download LLMs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There is
Okay, interesting.
For the site of Ollama and all the examples of the LLMs that we can get to. Let's see this one.
I'm going to
This
clear up
one
my screen here so we can see your.
here is okay. So this is the Ollama library right here. This is ollama.com/library.
Okay, so these are all the LLMs that you can access.
Yep. And as you can see, there's a lot
Yeah,
that people probably never even heard of.
yeah,
I feel like there's hundreds of these things. The ones that
yeah. I
I've
didn't
been
know that.
playing around with is like llama was
Yeah,
one.
you hear the big ones, but you don't hear some of these others, right?
All right. And when you run a llama on your computer, you can actually pull more than one LLM. So right now I have 4 LLMs installed on my machine. I have
Okay,
DeepSeek, Qwen 2. I have 2 versions of DeepSeek. I have a DeepSeek Coder and a DeepSeek R1, and then I have Llama 3.
okay.
So right now, if I wanted to use these, I could just say run, like Ollama
Are they
run.
pretty
Let's
safe to
say,
run on your local computer?
what's that?
Are they pretty safe to run on your local computer?
They are,
Yeah,
yes. And I bet there are ones out there that could be built to be malicious.
yeah.
So you just like anything, so you got to be careful.
So you're running it from a command prompt on your
Yes,
computer. Yeah.
exactly.
So you'd have to have some basic understanding of how to navigate that command prompt, right? If you're going to do this.
Yeah, or just use AI to help come up with that basic understanding.
It's a cheat code, isn't it? It's like if
Yeah.
you don't know, just ask AI. It'll walk you through step by step. It's really a cheat code.
Okay, so now it's running. So I can say hello, watch, hello. And we know about deep, I think DeepSeek is the one that thinks a lot, right?
Yeah. Okay.
What can you do for public tasks, engage in pleasant conversations? Feel free to ask me anything or tell me your ideas. Or give me something to type in there.
Uh, Tell us where AI is going in the future. Let's look at AI and jobs.
Or AI is heading for the future.
What will it do to jobs?
The future of AI is expected to be characterized by continuous advancements and innovations in various fields such as machine learning, natural language processing, blah, blah, blah. I'm definitely not going to read all that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, dude. It's going deep, isn't it?
It does. Some of these models can be very lengthy in their output for sure.
Yeah. Enhanced emotional intelligence. I like that as part of human interaction. So I've been using it for that. The
Mhm.
emotional intelligence. I created one app called Own Your Shit, GPT, but I created the instructions to feel human. I mean, it has active listening. It's conversational, turn taking style. But man, it'll call you out on your stuff. But that's one tool that I see with AI is its ability to mimic human interactivity is pretty impressive, and it's going to get better. You know,
Yeah, it is. Because like there's a race for it for one.
yeah,
Every week I hear new news on some new modification to the new AI. China did something.
yeah.
It's hard to stay up with it. I can't even watch all the AI
No,
news
there's too
because there's way
much.
too much of it.
Yeah. So that's
But it,
really cool. So you're running a full LLM off your command prompt on your local computer. So where's it drawing all the information from? Does it connect you to a server?
it's local. There's no other server. It's all contained info. So anything that runs on my machine is completely private.
Okay. But how does it access the LLM model? Is it running that through a server like DeepSeek?
DeepSeek, it's just the data that came with it. So
Uh-huh.
if you ask it, it'll say like it's been updated to a certain point, just
Okay.
like how when ChatGPT came out first. You know,
And so I'm looking at the gigs there. It's not taking up a lot of space.
no, it's the GPU that ends up using a lot of.
Okay.
Depending on how much you want to work, it will give more detailed output, but require more resources. And I have a decent graphics card on my desktop. It's
Yeah.
the NVIDIA 3060, but it's older. There's still a lot more newer ones that came out, but it's good enough to help run a lot of these models that I've been running, and I haven't had any problems with them because I'm not trying to push beyond its limits. Oops.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing here is make sure you got a computer that can handle this, right? At least in some degree. And then use AI to help you learn AI. That's what I've been doing, is asking tons of questions like, how do you do this? And what's this? And give me a step-by-step for this, right? And the cool thing about like a Firebase and Cursor is they're using AI within their model to actually program. So you can run an agent form. It'll actually create the code for you.
Where is your current database? So the training data is based on massive corpus of text data. How updated is your company? My knowledge cutoff is around mid 2022.
So it's a little outdated, but not bad, right? We're about 3 years. That's 3 years behind. There's a lot that's happened in the world of AI in 3 years.
And then if I wanted to try another AI model, let's say I want to get Gemma 2,
Yeah.
I would just say Ollama tool Gemma 2. Now it's going to download another language model on the computer. This one right here says it's going to be 5.4 gigs.
Yeah. Which is, man, it's the size of a photo or a video, right? It's crazy.
I'm also in the middle of building an AI role play bot for the insurance industry.
Okay.
I'm trying to make it verbal. It's only built in Gemini as a Gemini gem.
Yeah. And are you using HeyGen or 11 Labs? How are you trying to make it verbal?
Using Whisper AI.
Yeah.
As well as wait 1 second.
How are people doing these voice to voice, phone conversations? Like Google's new voice to voice, when you call in, you can't tell when you're doing the reservations. It's that to me is pretty amazing.
And the biggest thing about that is the delay. Like they have to
Yeah.
make sure that it doesn't take forever to answer.
Right. So like you ask a question and then 10 seconds later, could you imagine talking to a human that way? You're like, holy crap, just, are you even there?
Yeah.
But that's testament to how powerful the human mind is. I mean, it's processing up to 8 seconds before conscious awareness. And so when we respond, it feels super fast, super real time.
This is Jessica Taylor. She's my Gemini that does role playing for insurance situations, and I built rebuttals into her. So,
And this is your gem that you built?
yeah.
Yeah.
I like, let's see how she responds. Hello. I'm getting so many of these calls. I'm not interested right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I was going to build into an insurance snapshot I have for the platform. So when we
Just a
sell to
training
insurance agents,
tool, right?
look in there, role play with it.
Yeah. See, and that's just one of many uses there that companies can have. I built one that actually goes through and analyzes the market for RVs, and it does a market scan. It scrapes websites and then pulls the information back in real time. Because that's one thing that takes a couple hours for dealerships to do is to figure out how much a unit's worth. And my program will do it in like 5 minutes. It's quick and it's accurate. It's dead accurate. Huh.
See, she's acting like a human being.
I
You
like
can
I like
program.
that. So she's the caller on the other side, and you get to overcome her objections, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I love that you're sharing this, Corey. I appreciate your time today, man. Let me go ahead and pull up a few of these assets here. So I've got your website. I think I've got this pulled up here. Let me just make sure. Is that correct? R2designlabs.com. Is that how
Yes.
people get in touch with you?
That is my website. They can get in touch with me there. There's also my online business card that I provided a link to you.
Yeah. Can you
So,
throw that in the private chat here, and I'll drop that in the comments?
yeah, let me just try to find that
And
window.
for those that are watching, with AI, we're still in infancy of this. At 2022, when ChatGPT really opened the doors, it was incredibly basic. To see where it's come now, it's adapting at such a rapid pace. You want to stay on top of it, but like you said, Corey, there's so much information you don't know what to pay attention to. So you're really going to have to pick a lane. Like pick a lane. So on the private chat there, if you'll drop it in there, I'll drop it in the comments. And then we'll go ahead and wrap up here in just a minute. Is there anything else you want to share today, Corey?
Probably too much, but we'll just leave it here.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that'll just give people a sense of what the site looks like, right? Right there.
1 second, I'm having a hard time remembering the URL of my own online card because I usually use a QR code with it.
Yeah, you're good. And then I'll drop it in once you get it. But yeah, thank you for your time today. It's interesting to see how people are using AI in different ways. So AppScript to me that's a huge takeaway, because Google has already equipped their applications with AppScript. And so if you can do some basic coding, you can actually get your Gmail and calendar and Google Sheets to talk to each other. So let me just put this in the comments.
I do recommend getting used to using Docker if you're going to do programming so you
Yeah,
don't break the machines and you can keep your code contained.
really? Yeah. So definitely use Docker to contain things. Let me
And
just,
Docker has its own AI built into it too for help.
yeah, okay. Let me just see here. It should show. There we go. And that's going to show up in the comments too. So in YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, you guys can connect with Corey there if you have other questions, or if you have business ideas that you're trying to build and you want to bounce ideas. Make sure that you go over to getavibe.com and see some of these resources as well. Corey, we want to make sure if you have any tools you want to share that would be useful, we can share it there. But yeah, if there's nothing else to share, we'll go ahead and wrap up the show here. And man, I appreciate you sharing your knowledge today. It's awesome.
I appreciate it. It's been
Any
fun.
final words here before we wrap up?
Um, don't be scared of it, embrace it and you'll move far.
That's awesome. Yep, go for it. Get in there, get your hands dirty, right?
Mhm.
And you'll go far. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us on Get a Vibe today. Go get your vibe on. We'll see you in the next episode.